Yeah. So, because again, what do the American people care about? They are sort of crying out for, would you people please get something done?
Yeah, they want jobs, they want health care, they need infrastructure. I mean, there's so many things that we used to do in this country that we got away from, and I really believe that this politics reform is, I think, key. One of the key things to unlocking, manufacturing and infrastructure and science and technology and STEM education, all things that we've pretty much gotten out of the habit of. By the way, all that stuff has gone over to China. I don't know if you've noticed, but so tell me about Alaska, what they actually did, actually did vote for, and how you think that's going to change things in Alaska. But then, how do we move on from Alaska? How do people get involved? How do they help?
Perfect. Okay. So, because of this Constitution, all of the rules about elections are delegated to the states. So all the states, any state could say, we like final five voting. We don't want this crummy party primary anymore. We don't want plurality voting and spoilers. We're going to change the rules. Alaska did it first. My hat goes off to a man named Scott Kendall. So back in 2017, Scott Kendall, an Alaskan, a Republican from Alaska, was concerned about where their state government was going, and also he had worked for their independent governor and for Senator Lisa Murkowski, and he had seen, problems in sort of federal representation in those elections as well. And he was saying, what do we need to do to change this? And I'm so gratified, he explains, he read my 2017 Harvard Business School report where we laid out this case for changing the competition in elections and changing these rules of the game. And then he decided that was what Alaska needed. So this is like one person, Scott Kendall, remember that name. And then he founded, an effort, and he wrote the bill, meaning he wrote a ballot measure. So in Alaska, like in half the states, the citizens can vote on things they want to change. And so he wrote this ballot measure that includes exactly what I proposed, except it's 4 candidates advancing instead of 5, so I would call it final 4 voting. And then ran, and then, got lots of people to support. Obviously, it wasn't Scott all the way to the finish. It's a huge team, including Shay Seegert, another great name, and many people across all ideologies in Alaska, where independents are a majority, by the way. And then on November 3rd, Alaskans went to vote in the presidential and the federal elections, et cetera. And then they had a choice. Do you vote, this isn't what the language said, I'm just paraphrasing. Do you vote yes or no for final 4 voting? And Alaskans voted yes. It won. So what that means is now, and they did it for state and federal, although I very much recommend that most states just focus on changing the rules for Congress right now. But nonetheless, Alaska was successful in doing it for Congress and for their state.
So you recommend that is because they're biting off more than they should at one time?
Yeah. So the little segue to the little, sort of side note is that when we want to change things, change is hard. There is one thing that virtually everybody in the country agrees on right now, and that is that Washington is broken. The Congress is broken. People don't even agree that the presidency is broken. It depends on who is in the presidency. But Congress, Republicans, Democrats, and everybody's like, that's broken. Not work. So why don't we start doing something where we all agree, which is, okay, Congress doesn't work, let's change these rules. In Wisconsin, where we also have an effort, that's where I'm from, we have our largest fundraiser for Trump, along with one of our largest liberal philanthropists, joined together as members of our, advisory group, basically pushing these changes, and they stand up and say, we don't agree on much, maybe not anything.
That's really amazing. So you got both of those to basically join you in Wisconsin. With that, wow, that's quite an achievement.
Our group in Wisconsin is totally bipartisan, and back to Alaska, it's bipartisan. That's how it passed. And those were the people that supported it, because this this is a political innovation. It's not a reform. It's not a Trojan horse.
Right.
For, like we're sneaking it in for the Democrats to somehow benefit or for the Republicans to somehow benefit. This is an innovation that benefits all of us, the capacity of Congress to solve problems. And it's not job reduction. I mean, we're still going to elect the same number of Congress people, and they can be Democrats and they can be Republicans, et cetera. But now the only way they're going to keep their jobs is by doing their jobs well. And if they don't do their jobs well, they're going to have new competitors. It's like such a perfect, change. But so long story short, so Alaska votes for this. And now, beginning in 2022, that's how the Alaska elections will work.
That's so exciting.
So what we see is, we'll see like Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. She now knows that she she's her, I wouldn't say she's her own boss. Her boss is her general.
She's already kind of independent though. So I think she's probably going to do okay. I would imagine, Alaska seems like an interesting place from a political standpoint. You get all kinds of interesting characters from Alaska.
She's going to do great. But what I want to bring up for the viewers is Senator Murkowski and her colleague, whose name I can't remember, all of a sudden, sorry, are the only two people in the Senate right now who don't have to, they're not the prisoners of the party primary.
Yeah.
They are not, it's, okay, so I have a 3-year-old, so I'll just use this vernacular. You are not the boss of me. Okay, so, someone.
Typical 3-year-old.
Yeah, like Senator Murkowski essentially has this, you are not the boss of me to a Mitch McConnell or to a Trump or to, whoever is going to be the next Republican winning the nomination. Her voters and her own views and vision and plan are the boss of, her decisions, which means she has agency and freedom to do what needs doing. And I'll say something quickly here. I want to make it super clear. I don't have any problem. I mean, I sound like I'm criticizing the parties and Democrats and Republicans. I love political parties. I love that people are engaged. I love that people want to run. I love that people care deeply about policies. I can't wait till I can join a party again, But here's the thing. So no problem with Democrats, no problem with Republicans per se, and no problem with parties. I don't even have a problem, Rob, that we have only 2 major parties. The problem I have, and that we all have, is that the current 2 are guaranteed to remain the only 2, regardless of what they do or don't get done on our behalf.
And meanwhile, we keep, it seems like we're moving backwards. And so I think this is great.